Mbr vs GPT. Mbr and GPT. Mbr stands for Master Boot Record and GPT stands for GUID Partition Table. They are both methods used to store information about how a hard disk is partitioned, with Mbr being an older, more limited system and GPT being the newer, more advanced option, particularly for larger hard drives and UEFI systems. Difference between Mbr and GPT. 1. Partition limits. Mbr supports up to 4 primary partitions or 3 primary plus 1 extended partition, which can contain multiple logical partitions. GPT supports up to 128 primary partitions, on Windows, without the need for an extended partition. 2. Storage capacity. Mbr, limited to 2 TB per partition due to its 32-bit addressing. GPT supports up to 9.4 ZB, far beyond current disk sizes, due to its 64-bit addressing. 3. Compatibility. Mbr, supported by all operating systems, including older versions like Windows XP. GPT requires UEFI instead of BIOS and is supported by modern OSes like Windows 10 11, Mac OS, and Linux. 4. Boot method. Mbr works with BIOS firmware. GPT works with UEFI, which offers faster boot times and better security features. 5. Data security and recovery. Mbr stores partition and boot data in a single location, making it vulnerable to corruption. GPT stores multiple copies of partition data across the disk and uses CRC, cyclic redundancy check, to detect and recover from corruption. 6. Speed and performance. Mbr, slightly slower in booting and handling large disks due to its older structure. GPT, optimized for speed and efficiency, especially with SSDs and modern hardware. See video to more easily understand.
Mbr and GPT are ways computers organize information on hard drives. Think of them like table of contents for your hard drive. They tell the computer where to find the operating system, your files, and everything else. Mbr stands for Master Boot Record. It's an older system, like a cassette tape. Mbr has been around for a long time and is simpler to understand. GPT stands for GUID Partition Table. It's newer, like a Blu-ray disc. GPT is more modern and can handle much larger drives. Both Mbr and GPT do the same job, but they have important differences. Choosing the right one depends on your needs. The most significant difference between Mbr and GPT is storage capacity. Mbr can only handle drives up to 2 TB in size. That's like having a small bookshelf. GPT, on the other hand, can handle drives much larger than 2 TB. Imagine having a library-sized bookshelf. This is important because hard drives are getting bigger and cheaper. Another difference is the number of partitions allowed. Partitions are like dividing your hard drive into separate sections. Mbr can only handle 4 primary partitions. GPT allows for almost unlimited partitions. Think of partitions as separate drawers in your bookshelf, organizing your books. Compatibility is important when choosing between Mbr and GPT. Older operating systems like Windows XP may not support GPT. They're like old cassette players that can't play Blu-ray discs. Newer operating systems like Windows 10 and 11 support both Mbr and GPT. This is like having a modern Blu-ray player that can also play your old cassette tapes. GPT is becoming more popular because it is supported by newer computers. If you have a new computer, it likely uses GPT. However, you might need Mbr for older computers or specific tasks. GPT offers better security features than Mbr. GPT includes a feature called Protective Mbr. This feature prevents older disk management tools from mistaking a GPT disk for an uninitialized Mbr disk and overwriting its data. GPT also stores copies of the partitioning and booting data across the disk. This means if one part of the disk is damaged, the data can be recovered.